Hi guys, it's Shar. Welcome back to my channel, Craftin' Up a Storm. Hopefully you can be inspired by one of these projects to add some patriotic red, white, and blue decor to your home projects. Let's get crafting.
For this project, I picked up 3 of the Crafter Square wooden hanging decor from Dollar Tree. I also am going to use some tumbling tower blocks. I'm going to use 2, 4, and 6 to make stands for my star, so they have different heights. I picked up some decorative napkins, Mod Podge, a Waverly chalk paint in plaster, ocean, and crimson. And I'm also going to use some washi tape. So first I'm going to make my stands. I glued 2 together on the end, and then 4, and then 6. Now you can make your stands later. I decided to make them first and glue my stars to them and then paint them. I probably would do the painting first. I think my thought to do it this way was that I could then decide what color I wanted at what height. But it wasn't easy painting underneath the stars, so I did decide to use a napkin on one side. I took the bottom layer of the napkin off, laid down some Mod Podge, put my napkin over the top of it. I used a brayer to make sure it was good and flat. Let that dry a little bit. Put a layer of Mod Podge on top. And set that aside to dry. Once it was good and dry, I wanted to use an emery board to sand off the sides because I wanted to distress the sides of it and make it look worn. I had some more napkins that look like a American flag. I did the same thing. On this star, I had painted it. I painted all of them white just to start. On this one, I laid down some stripes with washi tape, and I'm going to paint red. So I have red and white striped star. On this side, I'm going to just use a small sponge dauber and make some red polka dots on my white star. For this star, I did pick up some stickers at the, I believe I got them at the 99-cent only store, but they were $1.99. And they're a good size, and I used the 4 as a stencil. I went around it with my small dauber, and I decided to paint the whole rest of the star that way, so it was all kind of that pouncy look. Pulled up my 4. I decorated around the red striped and the polka dotted star just with some dots and dashes. It's completely optional. You can weather them. to make them look weathered instead. You can decorate them however you'd like. That was the versatile part of these. I sanded down the blue to kind of look at more weathered, and then I used the white metallic marker from Crafter Square at Dollar Tree, and I added the TH for the 4th. I just went over it a couple of times to make sure it stood out on that dark blue. And then I added some jute twine to the bottom of all my stars. And they're double-sided. If you want to have them in where it's going to show both sides, it works great. If you want to be able to mix and match them, you can turn them however you want. I picked up one of these puffy stars, 3-dimensional stars with tinsel on it from Dollar Tree. It had this white tinsel, which was great, and I could have left that on it and just covered it with yarn, but I went ahead and took the tinsel off. It kind of has some hooks and little knobs that hold it onto the plastic form. And I pulled it all off. I'm sure I'll use it on another project. And here is the form underneath. Because I'm using yarn and it's much more flat, I did take off a lot of these little hooks and knobs. However, there are feet at the bottom, and I'm showing you right now where the feet are. This side and this side. So you want to leave those. That way it'll still stand up. I did pick up some red, white, and blue yarn from Dollar Tree, and I double checked where this little stands were. And I started with the blue yarn, and I just glued the end to the back of the form, and then I started wrapping. I just wrapped it all over. I tried to fill up most of the form just to cover it. As long as I had it covered, I was okay. I started wrapping kind of neatly and then realized I don't want it to be good and neat. I want it to be, once I get the form covered, I wanted to go back over and just crisscross with yarn. I filled half of it with the blue. I only glued every so often because it still has the little bit of the knobs left, and I'm wrapping it pretty tightly. And only really needed to be glued very, very well when it came to the very ends or the tips of the points of the star. And you can tell I just kept wrapping, and then I just started wrapping randomly to make sure I was covering wherever. And I put a little glue to make sure that the yarn stayed there. Once I filled the half that I wanted to fill very well, I was fine. And notice it went over onto the other half of the star, but I'm going to cover that up. I'm going to cover that up with some of the white. And so now I'm going to fill the other half with white yarn. And I have this very sped up, but you can tell I'm just wrapping. I'm continuing to wrap until I have it where I want it. Now I'm just going to loosely wrap some red around to make some kind of just random stripes. And there's my red, white, and blue star. I thought I needed a little bit more around that edge. I just added until I was happy with it. I had half of a styrofoam star left over, so I glued it down to the blue side, and that's our little yarn star. It's cute for a tiered tray. I found this sunshine wood ornament at Dollar Tree and a photo frame. I'm going to take the face off and just use the back of the sunshine. I covered it in Waverly chalk paint. I got a little too thick, so I did go back through with a tool and push some of the paint out of the slots. I did pick up some different color felt. I got them at Hobby Lobby, 25 cents a piece. A couple of different colors of blue, red, and white. I did a scalloped spiral here. And I made a scalloped flower. You just start with the outside edge and roll it. And then glue the bottom. For this one, I took a long strip and I glued it to make a tube. And then I cut on the folded edge. I tried to stay even, just not cutting all the way through. Just basically cutting down to the glue strip. And then I started at one end and rolled it together. This one I did use glue to help hold it together. And it makes kind of a button looking flower. Here I just did a regular spiral. I did several little red roses this way. Just a regular spiral rose. And to these I did add some pearl. I don't have video of that. On this one I just cut some squares out of white, all the same size. And then I cut 5 petal flower, simple flower shapes. Not sure how many I have. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, I believe. To one I used as a base. The rest of them I glued in half and then in half again to make these little petals. And then I glued the little petals onto the base, 4 at a time. With the corners all facing inward. And I just did another layer of that. And then once I got to the end, I kind of just stood them up a little bit more. The last 2. I don't believe I used all 10. Maybe I did. The last one on the top. I glued the flowers down to my star shape, and then I wanted the sides to stand out a bit more. I had painted the entire star white, but I wanted the sides to be darker. I also wanted to stain my frame. I used a little ocean chalk paint with some water and I stained it. However, you can see here when I'm gluing down my star, it's not stained. I did decide after I glued it that I wanted it to be stained blue, so I took it back up. I also put some blue felt in the background. You really can't tell. But I wanted something in the actual frame part. And that was it for my... It reminds me a bit of a quilted red, white, and blue pattern. That star shape. I added those little pearls into all the red ones. Like I said here, I did take it back off and stain it. So you'll see it in the end pictures that it's blue. For this project, I picked up a sailboat sign at Dollar Tree, along with a package of the wood cutouts. They come in a package of 6, 2 laser wooden cutouts of each pattern. I taped off the sail. I wanted to paint the bottom of the boat where it said beach. I'm going to paint that bright red. It took several coats simply because of the lettering underneath. I also tried to be very careful. It's kind of a corrugated cardboard over the top of the triangle sail. I just tried to go under the edge of it. So I didn't worry about taping that off. I tried to dry in between each coat so that I could continue painting. But you can see how the letters just kind of pop out once it's dry. So again, I probably did maybe 4 or 5 coats, because those letters just wanted to show through every time. I just kept putting on layers until I had no more letters. For the other sail, I didn't want to use tape. I was afraid it would take off that paint that I just laid down, so I did use a stick-it note. The sticky on it's a little lighter, and I figured it wouldn't be so harsh on the red underneath. Now I did try and go underneath the sail as well with the blue. I did get you can see right there, I did get a little stripe on it. I took care of it later by just going over the top of it with some white. And you really can't see it. I painted the stars white that I wanted to use, and I just laid them down on the blue sail side. And that's all I did for this particular 4th of July Patriotic sailboat. You can print something and put it on the bottom if you want. Either write it out or put it on your Cricut, whatever you would like to do. But I did dry brush the boat part of it with some plaster paint just so that it looked kind of aged. I did not, however, do that on the sail. I wanted the sail to be bright blue. You can put a wooden block behind it if you want it to stand up. I left the little hanger on it so that I could hang it as well. That's our patriotic boat. I picked up some of the scatter styrofoam stars at Dollar Tree, and they're a bit too glittery for my taste. I did go ahead and paint the blue ones with chalk paint in Ocean, the red ones with chalk paint in Crimson. I left the white ones a little bit glittery because they were a little bit more subtle, and I wanted to have a little different style of star on there. I did leave a few of the red ones as well, but mainly I wanted them to be solid. I'm going to put some toothpicks on them and use them in the back of my truck. This was a truck I made in an earlier video. I will have a link in the description and at the end of my video. It is a metal sign that I picked up at Dollar Tree. It had a flag in it, which would have been perfect for 4th of July, but I did cut the flag off the back of the truck and glued some styrofoam to the back just so that I could use it all year round for different holidays. I'm adding my stars to the back of my metal truck, and it's as simple as that. I can do all sorts of different decorations for this particular truck, and it's perfect to go along with a tier tray. So it's a very simple project, but it's also very versatile. You can put a little small flag if you can find the toothpicks with the little flags on it, whatever you would like to put. But this little truck ends up being able to be used all year long.
For something extra, I thought I'd show you this great mug I picked up at Dollar Tree. I printed out "Let Freedom Ring" on my Cricut with some fireworks, and it's going to add a great extra decoration. You don't have to put anything on it, just the red mug with some straws will add a great pop of color to your tiered tray decor.
I hope you enjoyed these projects today as much as I enjoyed making them and bringing them to you. If you would like to see more of these type of videos, let me know in the comments. Consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel. I'd love to have you as part of the community. Thank you, and as always, keep crafting. Bye-bye.